Good afternoon. Today is the 9th of October, although it'll be probably somewhere around the 14th of October when you see this. But there's been one question that I get an awful lot on this channel, and I just want to address this actually before I have to keep answering this every single video that we make. And it's why don't we talk about diesels on this channel? Just before we get into the reasons behind that, and a lot of you will actually know this already anyway, I'm going to be doing another question and answer session on the 20th of October. I should be recording that, so there'll be plenty of time for you to get your questions ready. So yes, Tuesday the 20th of October, I shall be recording a question and answer session, but I'm going to need your questions, so please leave them in the comment section below, and I look forward to answering them. It doesn't matter if they're obscure. If they're too stupid, I won't answer them, but we haven't really had any of those so far, fortunately. And that'll be, gosh, part 13 or 14 of the Q&A session we've done. We've done a lot of them actually, but seem to be quite popular with regular viewers, so we should continue. Anyway, let's examine this question of diesels on the Lloyd Vehicle Consulting channel. First of all, we've actually had this issue since the very first video on the channel, which was recorded in September 2018. At the time, the Seat Toledo that you would have seen featured in that video, I just passed the sort of year mark of ownership on that car, and it was a petrol, 1 litre turbocharged petrol. One of the main reasons I bought that car actually was because I had to get rid of my diesel car. It's the case actually even now that most of the jobs that I do in my profession is sourcing cars for people. That's what I actually do, as opposed to just making nice YouTube videos. Most of the places I go to in my professional work are within London. That's because we lived there for a long time. My lady wife lived there for a little bit, about the same amount of time as me. I think she moved there in about 2008, but we didn't move to Epsom together until 2017 when we got married. But the jobs and things I was doing were all around London. Epsom is something like half an hour's walk away from the Greater London boundary, and it doesn't take too long to get from there to the South Circular. The ultra emission zone was coming in 2017, sort of April, May. It was announced that it would be coming in, and it would be expanded to the North and South Circular in October 2021. So instantly, the car that I had, a 2014 Chevrolet Cruze diesel, and there is actually a Tweed Jacket review of that car. It was one of the earlier ones we did. It was, I think, released in April 2019. That car was plummeting in value so much, even though it wasn't very old, just because it was a diesel and it was a Chevy Cruze. I mean, I didn't pay a lot of money for it in the first place, comparatively speaking, but I wasn't willing to pay to go and do jobs in London, sort of £12.50 a day, just for going in the ultra emission zone. So I got rid of the car and got the Seat. But what actually happened during the recording of that first review with Mr. Franks back in September 2018, when we were looking at the engine capacities and engine power outputs, was I was going to include the 1.4, 1.6 diesels that the Toledo came with. But at the time of recording, when I was driving along, there is a road in Epsom that sort of acts as a sort of a bypass for one side of it, the western side of Epsom. That's what most people tend to use to get round the centre, which can get very congested. We were driving along that road, I think it's called Horton Lane, and I could not remember the power outputs of the diesel engines. I'd done a very reasonable take of the 3 1.2 litre power outputs, the 1.4 litre power output, and the 1 litres. I remembered all those correctly, and I could not remember the power outputs of the diesel engines. But instantly in my head, and this was in a fraction of a second, because I was trying to concentrate on driving and also talk at the same time, which is, it's quite an art actually. If you want to make automotive YouTube videos yourself, trying to actually remember what you're supposed to be saying, do it in a sort of decent order, and have the dictation of what you're saying, the diction I should say, the diction of what you're saying right. It's very, very difficult. Someone like Matt Watson from Carwow is really good at it. There are equally, like, earlier videos that you'll see of mine and other people where we just don't do it very well. I'm not saying I do it very well, but actually I just couldn't at the moment remember the power outputs for the diesel engines, and because of this thing that I have to say to people all the time, it's like, are you affected by the London ultra emission zone? I just literally decided to park it up and not want to do a second take on what I'd said. I just said, we don't talk about them. We don't talk about those. And from that moment, I thought, this is actually quite inspired. We can use this in all future material on the channel. And actually, that's what's happened. I have owned a diesel car since the channel started, which is the 2006 Mitsubishi Shogun, but really there wasn't much of a sort of competition between the V6 petrol and that diesel engine. Most people did buy the diesel engine. There are instances where I've reviewed cars on the channel, either because I've been offered them and it was just a diesel. The BMW 5 Series I did was a diesel. The Nissan Juke I did was a diesel. There's actually quite a number of them where that it has been the case. The Sanyongs that I did recently, and I recommend you do watch the reviews of the Sanyong Musso, the 2020 Tivoli and the 2019 Corando, because they are fantastic cars. The viewing figures on those have not been as high as I would have expected. I know they're not the sort of old nostalgic cars that a lot of you like me to review, but they're very, very good modern daily transportation. It is very well equipped and very good value. That's why we have a Sanyong ourselves. And the Musso in particular is not available with any other power unit. I don't think there's a single pickup truck on the market in this country that is available with anything else other than a diesel engine, for example. The diesel engines do have their uses, they have their purposes, particularly for high mileage driving, or for large vehicles such as a Sanyong Musso or Rexton or Mitsubishi L200, Shogun Sport. The list goes on, but they do have their place. Obviously, when we talk about the top 10 best-selling cars of any given month, the diesel is in decline all the time. There's a lot of manufacturers now that just don't offer diesel engine cars. Suzuki don't offer them, Mazda don't offer them, MG don't offer them. Mazda, I've literally just said, I think recently, that the only vehicle of any kind that they make with a diesel engine is the CX-5. The Mazda 6 has this diesel's been discontinued. So every manufacturer seems to be just taking them off sale gradually. I wouldn't be surprised if quite soon that they just disappear from the new market, because taxation rules and public opinion and this Dieselgate scam that is around has just meant that they are problematic. The ultra emission zone in London has and the one in Birmingham coming in, and possibly one in Bristol, that's if they ever get round to it, the public opinion is just swaying against diesel so much. So it's not that I won't review diesel engine cars on my channel. I have done a number of them. It's just diesel's becoming irrelevant for a lot of people. And it's only in sort of certain circumstances that it sort of makes sense. The weird thing is that the second-hand market doesn't seem to be noticing this particularly. Diesel cars are still remaining pretty popular, particularly in places outside of London and Birmingham and these places where they have lots of emission zones. So yes, I think that's quite a long explanation as to why we don't talk about diesels on the channel. It is partly an in-joke. It is partly to help my memory when I'm driving around trying to remember power outputs and engine sizes, because it can be very difficult to do that. But partly it is just due to public opinion and the way that things are going. So anyway, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos, and thank you for everybody who has done so far. Don't forget to like this video and to leave a comment below. Obviously the Q&A session will be recorded on the 20th of October, and don't forget to leave your comments down below. I've also got a Facebook page, facebook.com/Lloyd Vehicle Consulting, and also Instagram, instagram.com/Lloyd_Vehicle_Consulting. Thank you.